Get going.
Okay, just
So
with that.
hello, beloved church family of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Judith Roberts, and I'll be your host tonight. I welcome you to our midweek Oasis Wednesday night service. As you will be able to experience tonight, our Wednesday night Oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, expressing science of mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And our monthly theme for May is Raise Your Voice. Last Sunday, Reverend Dr. Michelle Coleman introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of Boundary Keepers, Nurturing Healthy Connections. And tonight, our speaker will continue with a related topic, Inner Guidance. So as we gather tonight, I really want to welcome you. If you're new to our community or watching our recording, please visit our homepage at www.oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving the Village newsletter once a week in your email. It comes out on Thursdays. It has all the information on what's happening at the center in the coming weeks. Before we get started, please mute your own radio microphone, your own audio microphone during tonight's service. You can leave your camera on. And when you mute your audio microphone, it will improve the quality of the recording and tonight's transmission. And please try to stay tuned through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. So I'd like to introduce our speaker, Christopher Brown. Christopher Brown knows that we are all independent researchers trying to figure out the mysteries of life. His research has taught him to reject any wisdom that does not know how to cry, any philosophy which does not know laughter, and any greatness which is not humbled by the joy of children. So the best we can do is to hold each other's hand as we walk through the mysteries of life together. So Christopher, thank you in advance for being our speaker tonight. That's a beautiful sentiment.
Yes.
So, so as we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. Christopher, will you be doing the honors tonight?
Oh, no. Our esteemed Dorothy is going to do the prayer and the honors.
I'll have the honors. So Dorothy, I'm going to turn it over to you to do the honors.
Okay, let us all take a deep collective breath together and just exhale, giving thanks for this day that God has created, and that each and every one of us is in our right and perfect place right here, right now. And we say, thank you, Mother, Father, God, for all the blessings that have been bestowed upon us this day. And as we come together as the community and village of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, we give thanks for this Wednesday night service that brings us together. And that we know that our speaker today, Christopher Brown, brings to us words of wisdom, that God moves through him easily and effortlessly. And that we are all open at the top to receive all the good that Christopher has to give to us today. And I am knowing for each and every one of us on this call that we are truly grounded and surrounded in the love and the light of God. And we are blessed to be right here in this wonderful Zoom, YouTube meeting tonight, knowing that each and every one of us takes something special from the words that Christopher speaks to us today. And I know for each and every one of us, with great gratitude, we are blessed. We are blessed to have Christopher speaking his words, that God moves through him easily and effortlessly. And I know that this service is already complete in the mind of God, and we are blessed. And if you agree with anything I have said, please join me in saying, and so it
So it
is.
Oh,
is.
it is. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful prayer. And now let's hear from Christopher.
Oh, thank you. So good to be here, and I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. This is a special topic. It's a special topic and it's dear to me. This inner guidance, this kindness compass that is living within our hearts. And my hunch is that every one of us has this kindness compass. And now, whether we hear it, whether we listen to it, whether we are faithful to it, that's a different story. But my sense is that it's something to do with, there's something adaptive about this inner guidance that we have within us. If I were to look at little kids, I'd watch them, little babies, when they hear the baby next to them in distress, you'll see the little baby trying to comfort the other. It's a very sweet thing. Mammals do that. Mothers have this instinct. I think we all have this instinct to help and to be kind to one another. Now, do we all practice that? Well, I think some of us receive a lot of trauma and get traumatized, and that part of that inner compass gets tightened up or defended. So the idea of this inner compass is expressed by how do we interact with others? Do we tell the truth? Are we true to ourselves? When we say something, do we mean it and do we follow through? Can we be trusted, in other words? Are we trustworthy? And I think if anyone's on the spiritual journey, it's all about trust, perhaps faith, courage. These are the qualities that I think are so important in this path of basically uncovering who and what we truly are, and how do we fit in this whole mystery. So this compass is not this inner guidance is composed of our values, our beliefs, our inheritance from our parents, our instinctual inheritance, and our core values. I said that. What else? Experience. So all of that has gone into our memory banks, our subconscious, unconscious, and it all mixes up, and it comes out as this voice. And we can say, oh, well, that's spirit speaking to us. Maybe it's that part of us that is spirit speaking to us. Maybe it's us speaking to us. Maybe it's the wisdom is not coming to us, but coming from us. And I want to point that out, from us, because there's so much about us that we haven't explored in that inner landscape. There's so much of who we think we are, perhaps isn't true. So what I do know is growing up as a kid, I would, you're to say, well, Christy, do you lie? I would say, oh, no. Have you ever lied to your mother? Yes. How many kids have lied to their mothers? I know probably nobody here on this call, but I lied to my mother. Where are you going tonight, Chris? Oh, well, I'm going out with Raleigh. I wasn't going out with Rolly. I was going out with other guys. So, I mean, I would always be telling her something that she wanted to hear so she felt safe and good, so I could get my way. So I was gaming the system. And I knew I was gaming the system. And I didn't feel bad enough to stop. Let's put it that way. And so we find a comfort level where we're comfortable with lies and comfortable with the truth, sort of, when it's convenient. And when someone asked Donald Trump, why do you lie all the time? He said, do you ever tell the truth? And he said, well, yes, but only when it's convenient. And that's very telling. And I know that that's part of the spectrum of where we are with integrity to ourselves. So are we true to ourselves? Do you know when you're telling a lie or when there's something that's a little bit off in what you're saying? When you say that I am this age, do you add an age or shrink a few numbers off your age? Or do you give an accurate age? Are you accurate and factual? This is a huge distinction, because if you want to speak your word and have it come true in the universe, you start with the little things. Can you say, honey, I'm going to do the dishes tonight, and by 8 o'clock, the dishes are done. Or by 8:30, they're done, but they're done. So it's like, am I true to my word? Can I be counted on to carry through? Or do I sort of go along to get along? I was at board meetings, and there was things happening in the board meeting, and no one was speaking up. And I'm going, wait a minute. We can't be spending this amount of money on that activity. It's not fiduciary. It doesn't make sense. I object. Nobody was objecting. And I went, wow. I know there's other people with dissent, but no one's speaking up. There's the power structure within every organization, and do you speak out against it when there's injustice? And I was wondering, well, I wonder if I should say something. And finally, my hand shot up. I couldn't take it anymore. And I spoke out against this proposition, and very strongly and adamantly. And it shifted the whole conversation. That's a scary thing to do. That takes courage to do, because no one likes a whistleblower. We want to sort of get along to go along, and to go along to get along. And it's so we mix with the crowd, we move with the crowd. We don't want to stand out. Back in the early 70s, when I was a kid, I smoked dope. But I smoked dope for spiritual reasons, which made it okay. That was my justification. So because I smoked dope for spiritual reasons and gazed at candles and did mantras and prayed and did all that, that was okay. But there's a part of me that knew it was illegal, didn't like the smell, anyway. Met this woman, and she says, I can see you're on a spiritual path. You're a good person, but you're never going to get any farther than you are right now, because your aura is really messed up. It's weak, it's thin, you can't hold energy. And she didn't say to stop smoking dope, but something within my guidance went ka-ching, just like that. And this is kind of, think of, we're going to be doing an exercise here pretty soon. How does that guidance speak to you? The way it did for me was her words became amplified. Now, I happened to be in a position where I could hear it. Probably for a lot of people, they would not have heard that. Or, oh yeah, that's nice. Fancy aura, I don't really care, pass the joint. But for me, it was, oh, I get it. I'm hurting myself. I can't get to where I want to go. I don't even know where I'm going. but I need that sensitivity. I need to clean this up. And that was the beginning of starting to clean things up. That was the beginning of my fidelity to myself. Can I be trusted to do what I say I'm going to do? Can I be trusted to fill in the blank? You can look at yourself at that. Or are you trusted when it's convenient? The real trust comes in is when you do it and it's inconvenient and it takes courage to do it. That's when we are true to our natures. It's the Chelsea Mannings, it's the Edward Snowdens, it's the Ralph Naders, the Noam Chomskys that really speak out again and again and at great expense to bring out what is really true and how can this help other people at perhaps great danger to themselves. So our first exercise, and Freddie is going to be breaking us out. Our first exercise, you can be broken out into little groups of 3, and it's going to be for 8 minutes. You're going to be discussing, what is this intuition? Does it have a voice? Have I heard it before? And if I have I listened? Has it guided me? This is this is an open conversation on inner guidance, or call it intuition too. But it's that voice that you recognize sort of as your voice, and it resonates as being true. But do we listen to it, and do we have the courage to follow it to where it leads us? And if you have followed it, has it made a difference in your life? And I can easily answer all those questions for myself. But I would love it if you were to answer some of those questions for yourself in this little breakout group. So in a moment, I'm going to repeat the questions again. Freddie's going to break you out. You're going to have the best partners ever. And you're going to be discussing, does this intuition have a voice? How do I recognize that voice? And do I recognize this voice? And when it does speak, do I listen and do I act? Kind of get the idea? Is there a voice? Can I hear it? And do I act upon it? Does it guide me? Freddie, if you will break us out, that'll be great. Oh, thank you for that. Well, let's thank our wonderful partners, if you haven't already.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Judith and Reverend Akia.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I'd love to hear what you shared with just a bit in your group so we can all benefit from your group's wisdom. Who would like to begin with that? Just unmute yourself and go for it. Or I start picking on people like Freya.
Freya. Freya got some good stuff to tell you.
She always
Tell
has good
Freya
stuff.
what we expressed in our group.
You can unmute yourself, Freya. There you go.
When we were on the countdown, I said, I want to say one more thing. and I described how I used to just run from one task to the next. You know, I'd finish something, you'd do the dishes and then go do this and do that and do that. And now now that I'm older, I'm giving myself permission to sit down and just take a break, or, just take a break, pause in between tasks. And life feels so different because then I can do that. What do they call it when you restore yourself? I can take some deep breaths and today I've been saying, okay, I I'm getting upset about things and I think my whole life is a story. I am just making this whole thing up. So yes, I can just drop the whole thing and relax and listen to my still small voice. So
Thank you for that.
thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes, yes. Who else? How does the voice, is it a voice or is it a feeling? Because I led you in the direction of voice, but for me, actually, it's a feeling. Unless it's a voice, meaning to stop, don't go in there. And it's very certain, don't. I've heard that several times, and it saved my life twice.
Well, this is Susan, and it's something that's not necessarily a voice, but something that is makes me stop. It's just like a feeling tone, or and it's not necessarily dramatic, but it's just like, oh, well, what does I feel something different here. What's that about?
Mhm.
And so it's more of the body talking to me, wherever that me is floating around. And it usually ends up helping myself to ground in that moment. So that's what that mainly does.
Hmm.
So
Lula has her hand up, Christopher.
Oh, please.
Well, I think for me, it's a feeling. It's like because when I start my day with asking for guidance. And so I've learned to, when I'm still and can hear it, it's more like a feeling. It's like a churning. And when I really listen to it, because it's persistent, and I do it, it always turns out well. The task or the challenge may not be completed or solved, but I'm one step along the way.
And here's a question. I'm going to sort of speak my story to see if it corresponds with your story. It's like when I'm in a questioning mood, I become a little agitated. I want to get grounded. I want to get some clarity on something. And so once I listen and I make a decision, if it's the right decision, immediately my body relaxes. It's like, oh. And if I make the decision and it's not the decision that my guidance is pointing me to, I remain agitated. And I'm wondering if that's true for other people. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of heads. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Yes, Marilyn, unmute yourself.
I will, thank you. So the church that I am currently going to is called the Home of Truth in Alameda. And the very first day I was there, it just so happened that it was the day that they hold a practice called inner listening, which is what kept me coming back. And we do it once a month. Now we do it on Zoom. But we go into a meditative space and we write down the questions that are before us. And we want to get the ideas, we want to get spirits or our higher self's input. We want the higher wisdom. And we actually, after we do that for about 5 minutes, we actually go around and share, if we want to, what our questions are, because sometimes somebody gets an answer to somebody else's question. And then we have a period of silence that's about 25 minutes long, more if we need it, to just be present and see what happens, to listen inwardly or upwardly, however we want to do that. Just be present. And we tend to write notes to what we get, but When we did it in person, we also had crayons and colored pencils because we might get an image and we would draw the image, because the presence of spirit shows up so differently for different ones of us. And then at the end, after everybody feels complete, then we go around and there's an opportunity, should you choose to share some or all of what we've come up with. And I do a lot of writing. So here I just start stream of consciousness. I just start writing. If I'm at the computer, I start typing. What I've noticed, a couple of things though, is the wisdom that I write by hand feels like it goes deeper than what I type into the computer. I've just gotten lazy and used to typing on the computer, so it's easier to read my writing when I want to go back over it. But when I write by hand, um, it feels like it's at a deeper level. And what tells me that it's coming from not my everyday self is when I have an assumption that the wisdom I'm going to get is to go here and do this. Inevitably, the wisdom I get in the silence is stay quiet, stay grounded, don't act hastily. More often regret speaking up too fast and impulsively than taking my time and reflecting. And then if I'm guided and if I'm really nudged and if I really feel compelled, then speaking up. And that's when I know, okay, that didn't come from just everyday me. That came from beyond, some kind of way, either higher, inner, outer wisdom. That's the mystery that I lean into. But that, to me, that's the validation that it's that what we're talking about, that deeper voice.
And you recognize it.
Yet I recognize it whether or not I choose to follow it. I mean, sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you, and I got to do it my way. And when that blows up in my face, then I might try it your way. Thank you very much for sharing. But I've learned over the years that it saves a lot of time and headache if I start with willingness at the get-go.
Thank you. All right. Well, moving right along then. There was a time when I was receiving stolen goods from a roommate who was shopping at the college at night with a passkey he had made. So I ended up with a stolen slide projector and a chair and some camera parts. And I justified it by saying, well, it's a school. Anyway, I justified it by taking these stolen goods. And then there was a time when I stole some shoes from a store in downtown Oakland. I walked in, wanted to buy some shoes. There was no clerk there. Oh, there's no clerk there. Well, I'll try on the shoes. Okay, I tried on the shoes. I like these shoes. No clerk there. Who do I pay? There's nobody here. Well, screw it. I'm walking out. I knew it was wrong. We know when we're doing stuff that's wrong, and we justify it to make it sort of okay, but somewhere within us, there is a little bit of a scar that says, no, that wasn't quite right. That's not quite right. The good thing is you can clean it up. And after I learned about, giving up dope and going back and trying to clean my life up, those are the things I did. I went back to the school, I wrote him a check, I talked to him about it and how sorry I was. I went to the store where I stole the shoes, wrote him, gave him some cash. They were blown away. Everyone was very positive. It was a great experience. And as a result of that, I was walking taller in my own eyes. And I can't tell you how much that has meant to me. Am I true to my word? Can I say now with integrity that I will do something and I will follow through? And so this is part of this process of how we grow and how we adapt, how we become more familiar with our inner guidance, and how we have the courage after experience to trust it, to really trust it, and then to have the courage to actually move into action. So we're going to have a very small breakout room next, as we're getting low on time. And this breakout, Freddie, if you could make it 5 minutes. And the question is what are some of the things in your life that's offending you right now? It's offending your kindness compass that isn't sitting right with you, that you could move into action on. So what's offending your soul, your kindness soul, that you would that you're perhaps even outraged about, but you haven't done something about it yet? Kind of get the idea? So what's offending you right now in your life? Freddie, if you'll break us out. Thank you, wonderful partners. Thank you again. Okay, we're coming to the end of our tether right now. Would anybody like to share kind of what it was that came up for you that's insulting your soul right now? But more so, what are you doing about it? How are you handling it? How are you dispersing the energy that's coming up for you to act upon? Okay. I know there's someone who has something to add to that. Freya.
Yeah, I took the question different than what I think you were asking. I was saying, how do I offend myself?
Good.
And I was thinking, well, because I've been so shy, I've always thought, oh, if I'm shy and quiet, I'm not going to bother or hurt anybody. But being quiet and protecting myself and being invisible, actually, it it could be not as it could be harmful, in a way, to not be reaching out. So
Every time we speak, we take a chance. Every time we show up, we take a chance. We become vulnerable. We expose ourselves to ridicule. But each time we do that, we have more experience of success, because I would rather jump into the arena and fail than not to jump into the arena at all. And so with that in mind, let's all jump into more arenas, especially the arena that reports back to us that, yes, we are capable. We are totally capable. And let's have the courage to move on that capability that we do all possess. Is there anybody else before we wind this up? Okay.
Yeah, I will.
Yes.
Well, I am offended by somebody who feels like they're above the law and that they can do whatever they want and say whatever they want, whether it's true or not, and don't have any sense of we the people. And so I have been donating and I've been signing petitions, and I have yet to participate in protests, but I intend to. And I know there's a huge one coming up on June 14th, a Saturday called No Kings Protest, No Kings Protest. And so, I'm looking for ways, all of the ways, putting and making phone calls and calling. I did recently call our assembly person, our person in the California Senate about a bill. So I'm taking more action now, and I intend to continue and find more avenues, because I think the people matter, and the people have a voice, and the voice needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And
Also,
that's complete.
it settles our nervous system when we actually move the energy forward.
Yes, yes, it
We
does.
return to peace because there is an activity that we can move it forward. Oh, let's take a breath. I want you to thank yourself for participating in this conversation, um, and for realizing that it's important. I'm going to finish with this Oprah Winfrey quote, who said, "Real integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching."
Yes.
Nobody's watching.
Mhm.
Because you know what? We always know if we're doing the right thing or we're doing the wrong thing, if we're cheating the system or not. We know. We know. And so there's our affirmation for this evening before I turn it back to Judith. And the affirmation is, today I renew trust in my inner guidance, and I vow to act upon what I know is true and kind. I invite the wisdom of this guidance into my life now, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful, Christopher. Let's move into our announcements now, and Freddie will bring up some slides. So negotiating peace, conflict reconciliation, and transformation. This will be the subject of Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman's talk on Sunday, the 18th, coming up. Meditation is at 10 and service is at 10:30. And on Wednesday, next Wednesday, Jackie Corwin will follow up on the same topic, negotiating peace, conflict reconciliation, and transformation. And meditation begins at 6:30 and the service begins at 7. Okay. Please join the Ministry of Prayer for Friday night prayer happy hour on May 16th from 7 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. And this should continue weekly on Fridays, except the fourth Friday of the month. Practitioners Maureen I don't think this name is right here. Uh, Maureen Mulhena, I don't recognize that last name. And Megan Lemon extend this open invitation to anchor in prayer with your spiritual community. Please visit oaklandcsl.org/events and click on the image to use the passcode 123456. Okay. And then next Saturday, May 17th, Susan Brecker and I are offering a quick start class on science of mind from 9:30 to 1:30 in the social hall. And it's a requirement for the next new membership cohort in early June, a refresher for some, and provides new principles for newcomers. So go to oaklandcsl.org to register on the events page. And join the fabulous Lisa Ferraro and the accomplished Tammy Hall on Friday evening, June 27th from 7 to 9 p.m. for an OCSL 80th anniversary concert, Light, Love, and all that jazz. Ticket sales will start next week. Be sure to get yours and bring a friend. And May is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and which is observed in the U.S. During May, and recognizes the contributions and influence of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islander Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. Our nonprofit partner for May and June is Be a Mentor, a nonprofit that seeks to help children and youth through challenging and vulnerable circumstances that build vibrant, successful lives for themselves with the support of caring and positive adult role models. Visit their website at beamentor.org for more information. And this year we are celebrating our OCSL's 80th anniversary. There will be an anniversary gala on September 20th, 2025. So mark your calendars for that. And the Spirit Treasure Bookstore in May, again, celebrates Asian American and Pacific Islander Month and Mother's Day. Be sure to check out the 30% off table. And now I want to highlight our wonderful staff at OCSL. We have our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. We have Megan, our co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer, and Maureen Molina, our also co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer. Beth Van Arkel, who is our board president, our operations coordinator, Steve Carter, facility usage coordinator and practitioner, Susan Brecker, and Dow Becker, our bookkeeper. So I just want to give a shout out to all of them and thank them for all of the wonderful work they're doing. And now I'm going to move into our joyous giving time. And I'd like to invite you to read along with me this affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love, as me. And so it is. So if you feel inspired to donate to OCSL, you can go to our website, oaklandcsl.org, and you can press the donate button here. It's a purple tile, and it'll take you to different ways that you can donate. You can donate through Zelle. You can donate, obviously, you can write a check. You can use this QR code. You can text to give. And you can, of course, if you're in person at the center, you can donate in the offering basket during the service. So we welcome any and all support, large or small, anything that comes from the heart. And we thank you for that. Much gratitude. And I now want to thank everybody who has participated in the service today. Of course, I want to thank our speaker, Christopher Brown, for a really beautiful talk and interesting discussions in our breakout rooms and the discussions following the breakout rooms. So thank you again, Christopher. I want to thank Susan Urquhart Brown for leading our meditation before the talk. And I want to thank Dorothy Mendez for our opening prayer and thank in advance Reverend Ikea, who is going to offer the closing prayer. I also want to thank Reverend Elena Hutchinson, who is not here tonight, but she's a Wednesday night co-host. She and I host every other Wednesday. And of course, Reverend Ikea, who is here tonight, and Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman for all of her support as our senior minister. And then last but not least, I want to thank Freddie Lambright III, who is our AV person, who is running our PowerPoints and is spotlighting people and is just always working beautifully behind the scenes. And I also want to mention Steve Carter, who is our in our administration, and Steve puts together all our documents for Wednesday nights. So I want to give a shout out to Steve for all of his contributions as well. And now I'd like to invite Reverend Ikea to offer our closing prayer.
You have to unmute yourself.
And I invite everybody to center in their heart their portable temple for God. The heart, the magnificent center through which God expresses in you, through you, and as you. This wonderful expression, these hints, these bits of intuition that come to us in so many ways, physically, verbally, in sound, and many other ways. This is the way the guidance comes. It's from the healing and the feeling center, our hearts. And my heart is very happy right now because of the beautiful service we had. And it's very grateful for all of you taking the time to be with us, taking the time to join together in conversation, and opening yourself up to a wonderful new possibility to carry you through till next week. Thank you so much. I know we are all blessed and empowered, and I release my word knowing that Spirit only says yes. And please join me by anchoring the prayer by saying, and so it is.
So it is, and
So it
so it is. Thank you. Thank you. And let's all give a shout out to Christopher. Show your appreciation to Christopher however you can. I'm going to have the hearts come up, I think. If I can get the hearts, Christopher, they're gonna
You're going to come up.
go right now. Okay. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions, and Christopher, of course, for a lovely presentation tonight.